Good morning, Lida, Amanda, Bella, Eva, Roxy, Ramona, Miranda, Terry, Kiran, Emma, Joan, Rachel, Martin, and so on. What I can see right now, 19 students are able to view my screen. I hope you can hear me. So it's better to confirm with you. Please type yes if you can hear me, so that I'm confident with my bandwidth, speed, and the microphone is no longer an issue to discuss or practice learning. So allied Lydia, Amanda, Bella, Eva, Roxy, any one of you, if you could type yes, I can hear you. I mean, if you could type yes, if you can hear you. Well, Roxy, thank you very much for the yes, which makes me there is no problem with neither the microphone nor the internet bandwidth this morning. Well, this week, for me, it is very special. If you could ask me, how come comparing previous weeks and this week is special or important? Because this is the week that I have the opportunity to express or share what is language and what we were misguided. It not sound misguided. Maybe we have understood or practiced with a different perspective. So that it's some kind of a differentiation, some kind of a maybe some kind of a moving forward or upgrading our way of understanding language, either to speak or write. So what was that? That's the week which is relevant to this lesson. Let me tell you, for example, when I was in high school and during my college time, as you know, English is a second and official language in my country, India. So during my high school, my teachers, and I see among my classmates, they will always take a notebook and write new words and memorize new words. My teacher, whenever I see him before start of the lesson, he writes down 5 new words every single day and a small definition of it, what it sounds. Then we copy that on a notebook, and we have had a workbook to practice a range of grammatical structures. So that's the start of the learning a language. So it's been continued for a long time during my school, graduation, on and on. But over time, whatever I have learned, copied, memorized, it faded away after some time, maybe 6 months later, or a year later. The number of words I have copied from various books and dictionaries, from Blackboard, all sounds faded away because of busy life, because learning everything every day new. So I'm unable to recall the vocabulary that I have copied to my notebook and grammatical structures that I have been practicing with my workbook. And then what I have learned, okay, what I have been doing, give me a second. So I'm sorry about this interruption. So, so this vocabulary and language knowledge, what we can say, practicing range of grammatical structures. What I have learned, it's what you have been doing, Ramesh. You are learning about the language. That's what you have been doing for a long time. You know, learning language knowledge may fade away from your memory after some time. That's what you have experienced. Then what am I supposed to do? Just that was my mind voice. Then I came to know what is language. Language should be used. Are you able to use language? Use with where and with whom? Use with people, either in speaking or writing with your readers. Are you able to use the language, writing an essay or speaking more than 5 or 7 minutes? And I found it, no, I'm not. I think I'm shy or kind of an introvert, maybe have some fear to initiate a talk. And I asked, then why do you think you fear? What makes you to stay one step behind when everyone is able to initiate and speak and prove their language in writing? Why you cannot do it? Why you are not able to do it? Though you have been practicing learning new vocabulary, copying new words every single day, and working with a range of grammatical structures in the form of workbook. Why doing two big things but still you are not initiating? So one other way you can accompany people, that's what you are capable of. But the key thing is, why are you not able to initiate? Answer to this question, which is relevant of this week, is this. So this is what we have committed last week. We are going to practice or work with this lesson, gathering and evaluating information. So language is, what number of information are you familiar with? That's what language, that is what fluency, that is how I call it, language is in use. So the lesson of the week, gathering and evaluating information. So what it sounds, gathering and evaluating information, when it comes to debate? Because where I see, the first time I see where people speak so fast and so quick with confidence, the place is at the debate contest, either on TV or in the college or in the university. Debaters or the people that I see, they are more confident and they speak as quick as they possible, which I can understand. They are so fluent in language. I admire them. Debaters are the best speakers. There was a question, what makes them to speak as quick as possible? The answer, lately I have identified, they have got only 7 minutes to perform, no matter what range of information they have collected. And the range of information, either relevant or not. There could be, they have the range of information, and the information, what they speak is relevant to the topic or to this situation. That's what I can understand. Debaters work hard gathering information, and in order to speak relevant, they evaluate their information. So here the information for debaters, information for them, it's an evidence. So what we have, evidence is an information, evidence is a relevant information. So this is what I can understand. Gathering information and evaluating information is what I can understand language in use. This is what I can understand. You have got fluency in your communication, because fluency is what that matters when you are a student, or when you are at the workplace among the colleagues, in your everyday situation. So you can become fluent only when you have a range of information which is relevant to the topic or relevant to the situation, either to speak or write. Well, so recording relevant information helps you speak fluently and analyzing issues and so on. Well, let's take a look how our course book, which helps us understand to communicate or debate fluently only when you have understood gathering and evaluating information. So my favorite part of the book in each lesson is this, which helps me to think and brainstorm possible answers or information. See, for example, to become a debater, we pay attention, we work hard to prove our claims. So why do we work with gathering and evaluating information? The question is, why do we need to support our claims? Because any of your claim should be supported with relevant examples and evidences. Examples is a form of evidence. Then another question, how do we select and evaluate information so as to use it as evidence to support our arguments? How do we record and organize information? So these are some basic questions which helps us to think or brainstorm possible solutions to predict maybe. So let's see how debaters see information. They see information as arguments. Arguments are essential parts in all debates. Well, effective arguments require supporting materials, which means strong supporting materials. There are two things, effective arguments and strong supporting materials, which means the information we provide to prove our claim should carry credibility. Audience will evaluate the information you provide to prove your main idea. Is it credible or not? So that's what. Effective arguments require strong supporting materials. They adapt. Use of evidence often makes the difference between a poor debate and a good one. So any of your main idea should be supported with evidence. If not, It's not an argument. It is just an assertion. Well, to have or to write or speak good arguments as a habit, we need the skills of gathering and evaluating information. When it comes to presenting our ideas in a public occasion or defending our position either in a group discussion or at the debate. So this unit, that's what we have some useful information or resource which help us understand the efficiency of evidence. Well, let's give it a pause. What we have, whether friendship can be strengthened by fighting, will help understand men and women's views on friendship. Okay. So maybe we'll give it a quick pause. Let's start with friendship can be strengthened by fighting. Friendship can be strengthened by fighting. Maybe it's okay for women, but I don't think it could be strengthened by retaining friendship by fighting with men. So when I had this brainstorming information, I just wanted to check what the author came up with to prove with this article. Right, so this is where, so can't guys just learn to fight for friendship? So I started reading, but because I disagree, because men are not good with it, to retain their friendship by fighting. Because of my experience, one of my experience I can tell you to agree with, guys can't just fight to retain their friendship. So my freshman year started 2003. I had to commute 60 kilometers a day by a local train. So being a freshman student and traveling on a train to a new city and then seeing a local train is crowded, all are strangers, very young, traveling alone from my village. It sounds strange for me. So it's been a week. I'm quite strange or a stranger to a new city or in the college. So over a week time, I happened to familiarize few faces who traveled with me as a passenger, and they walked with me till the college entrance, and I happened to see a few students now and then around the campus. Then when I went back from college to home, again I happened to see them. Then sometime I had to initiate, I am a student too, I happen to notice you are a student too in the same college. By the way, I'm Ramesh. My departure because I come from a small village, the train passes by. Then we became friends. There were about 10 people, 10 students from 10 different departments. So 2003, that's what it started. And there are some close friends, there are some casual friends, there are some high-end boyfriends. say bye bye friends. So in such a way, I've had some very good friend, and he and I, we have never had any such conflict in our friendship or in understanding since 2003 to 2019, could be 2019. The year was a busy year for me. I'm still an professor. So 2019, I was working in Chennai. It's a big and capital city, crowded. It's a populated city. The roads are congested. When you drive your motorbike or car, you cannot reach your destination because it is time consuming due to huge population, and moreover the city is so hot. It's always sunny. Waiting on road by a traffic jam, it's a usual daily life for everyone in Chennai. I think you could be familiar with Chennai. Recently, maybe some time ago, your president visited our hometown and he traveled to Chennai and he stayed in a hotel. We enjoyed seeing him, and it was such a fantastic time. So that city, I was a busy man commuting to work 70 kilometers a day with my scooter, because to commute 70 kilometers a day, I needed to invest 4 hours traveling, 2 hours to go, and maximum 2 hours and 30 minutes to go back home. So I leave home 6 a.m. and come back 6 p.m. Such an exhausting work life. So therefore I didn't have much time to communicate with my friends or traveling to any new places. So such a busy life, I had to receive a phone call, one of my best friend, and he asked me, Ramesh, I needed some money. It's an urgent. Can you borrow? Can I borrow from you? Yes, you can, but I'm living in a big city. Teacher's salary is minimum. I don't think I have any savings in my bank or in my pocket or at home. I'm sorry, I cannot help you. I'm not in a situation to help you. That's what. Then I have to disconnect my call because I have a meeting to attend, participate. It's a situation I cannot avoid. I had to disconnect. And I told them, all I have only 500 rupees, Indian rupees. That's what I have in the bank account. Then I disconnected, dropped my phone into a silent mode. I had to attend my meeting. So he repeatedly calling on and on, on and on. When I was in the middle of a meeting, I just see my phone is blinking with calls. Then I couldn't stop picking up the phone. Then I answered this, yes, what's wrong with you? I told you everything. No, you told me you've got 500. Yes, I did. Please transfer that to me. That's what I'm keep calling you constantly. Okay, I'm in the middle of a meeting. Maybe I can give you a call back once I'm come out of the meeting. I disconnected without listening to his response. So meeting went on and on, on and on. It was exhausted for about more than an hour meeting, listening to the other faculties, deans and directors, head of the departments. So it was dull 5 p.m. in the evening. I had to commute another 2 hours and 30 minutes to reach home, thinking of which makes me dull for the day. Then started my scooter and happened to check. Oh, my motorbike is going to drained without sufficient fuel. I was thinking and then checking my phone. Okay, what was happened the last 2 hours? My friend called me. Oh, okay, I told him to give a call back and called him back and told him, he told me that 500, you should give it to me. Transfer me. He told me you're going to transfer me. No, yeah, I told, but I cannot. I needed that 500. That's what I ended up. All of a sudden, the call got disconnected from him. Then my phone was remained in silent mode and started riding my bike. 2 hours later, I reached home. I mean, reached home with back pain, riding scooter for 2 hours. You will see some back pain. Then I had to get a nap and wake up from the nap time. I had my kid and I, we played together for an hour and we speak. Then dinner time came and we finished dinner and then went back to bed and wake up next morning early 5 or 4 a.m. get ready, prepare myself, leave home 6 a.m. That's the way you should live. And I checked my phone again the next morning. It was about 50 missed calls. I didn't respond or didn't pick my phone because it was still on a silent mode. Then I called him. My call was blocked and my name was removed from all social media. So that's it. My friendship is just evaporated in one day, but we have been friends for about more than 10 years. In one day, with one incident, friendship has just evaporated. And I didn't fight back to retain my friendship, and neither my friend. So which makes me to agree, guys can't just learn to fight to retain for friendship. So when I happen to read this, where is the claim or where is the author's main idea that he wants the audience or readers to accept him? When I was looking for his claim, see what we have learned, the claim, why do we need to support our claim? So I was looking for where is the claim where the author is trying to persuade the audience. So having gone through, found men no longer know how to fight. This is his main idea that his audience wants him to agree with him, or this is what he wants to prove his audience. There's one single main idea to prove, and everything else what we see is an evidence. Right, so maybe you can spend your time with this, with my example as an evidence. The author is persuading you and I that we can agree with him. Yes, men no longer know how to fight, which means you are convinced, we are convinced or persuaded. His main idea is what we call it. Men no longer know how to fight to retain their friendship. So that's one sort of evidence which is authentic, but that's not enough. We need relevant ideas as similar to his or to my ideas, which means we needed some relevant ideas along with your authentic experience as an evidence. Where it is, you can see this. See, the author came up with his own experience as an evidence throughout our mid 30s. We vacationed together at a mutual friend's house in Vermont and so on. There was no climate, there was no cinematic blow up. It just evaporated at a little past 40. Friendship ended. So, so to prove this, now here what he has his own experience proving men no longer know how to fight. He is providing evidence other examples, other people's experience. My friend Jeremy is an anthropology professor, and President Obama seems to be known for not being intimate with anyone except his wife. So maybe I can show you here. See here, what number of evidences he came up to prove his thesis or a claim. Men no longer know how to fight. Evidence number one, his authentic experience of the writer or author. In the friendship between the author and Dan, it's one evidence which is authentic. In the Ben's friend Jeremy and Alex is another evidence which is relevant to his evidence. President Obama, former President Obama's lack of intimacy with other people, which means Obama is not the kind of person fighting for friendship, which is lack of intimacy. And my wife's strengthened friendship with her close friend. So the author is trying to come up with only men no longer know how to fight, but whereas women, they will always or they sometime fight to retain their friendship. Fighting to retaining their friendship will be strengthening their relationship, their bonding of relationship or friendship. So which proves only men no longer know how to fight. So what we can learn from this posting or this essay or an article, gathering information is what makes him to communicate or convince the audience. So this is what that makes me understand language is nothing but information. As long as you work hard gathering range of information which is relevant to support your main ideas or claim, you can prove you are a fluent speaker, writer, which means you can handle everyday situation when you have the mindset to learn language to use, then learn a language to understand about the language. So that's what makes me to tell you this is an important lesson comparing the previous weeks. So week 1 to week with maybe 8 to 9 weeks, we have been practicing strategies or theory or framework to convince our readers, listeners or audience, what we call it Toolmin framework, as a theory or a strategy, and logical fallacy as a strategy to evaluate, which helps to convince the readers, or which helps to initiate a talk or an argument, and which helps to respond to your listeners. But this gathering information is what language is in use at the workplace on a relevant situation to prove you are a fluent performer. So I hope you can agree with me. To become a language professional, to become a fluent debater or speaker, we should be looking for information relevant, recent, and achieving appropriacy. So this is what we are going to understand. Looking at asking a few simple questions from this lesson. So if you could agree with me, information is language. Having familiarizing range of information is what an evidence that you are a fluent speaker or writer. Well, to become a debater, in debate contest we see debaters are the only people on earth speak as quick as possible, and because they have got only 7 minutes to perform and convey their range of information on a relevant topic in 7 minutes. It's a timed performance. So now gathering information is language. Speaking quickly, that's what it makes the number of information you have on your mind. Now let's check, how can these debaters locate information in order to speak quick, in order to convey all of it. Debaters can usually search the internet and online libraries, databases for encyclopedias, books, articles in academic journals and magazines, newspapers, statistical sources, quotation books, websites, and government documents. So a range of resources usually debaters work with so that they can perform fluently in the debate contest. Now there is one good question. What can be counted as a desirable evidence? So information, to a debater, information is nothing but evidence. If that is true, what can be counted as a desirable evidence? Desirable evidence, in other words, to ensure credibility. Whether your evidence is credible or not, because our audience are beautifully talented. They will always look out. Our audience, our readers, our listeners, they are beautifully talented. Agree with me, please. Mark my words. They will always see your credibility. They will check your credibility in the form of the evidence you provide carry credibility, or the information is credible to support your main idea. So if the audience see you carry credibility, to prove your claim, then your audience were convinced. Your audience is persuaded, no matter when it comes to writing or speaking. So, what is credibility? What sounds a desirable evidence? To me, credibility, which makes me tell you what sounds credibility to me: intelligence, your intelligence, character, goodwill. These three things, these three in combination, what we see credibility, in other words, a desirable evidence. So how this should be to become a credible evidence or a desirable evidence in debate. A piece of information must be current, relevant, reliable, and objective. This is what audience or reader or listener will be looking out as your evidence is carrying credibility to support your main idea. Now, how different or what it sounds current and relevant. When it comes to current, any piece of information that you collect from magazines and newspaper, which is up to date. Today's newspaper is tomorrow's waste paper, which sounds recent and relevant information when you collect from newspapers and magazines. Then statistical resources sounds like relevant evidence to support your claim. Now, reliable and objective is what we see. It's a perfect fit of credibility. What sort of information is reliable and objective? I can tell you this as an academician. Articles in academic journals, when you collect evidence, a piece of information from articles and acknowledge articles, then which is reliable and objectively verifiable. So any information that you collect from government documents, it's reliable and objective, it is verifiable. Therefore, your information have got the credibility. Quotation books sounds a relevant evidence. Magazine sounds a relevant evidence. So these can be counted as a desirable evidence. So current, relevant, reliable, and objective carry the evidence, a credible or credibility to support or to prove the author's main idea. So, as we can understand, language is nothing but a range of information on a familiar situation or on a topic. Now let's learn what is the most effective way to record or gathering information, and how do we organize such information is a skill. Debaters, for example. Debaters can record information in files and folders on their computers. It's easy, everybody can do it. And copy and paste the useful information in a Word file. Yes, we do this in everyday class lectures, exam materials, resources. And each item should be recorded in a separate file. Maybe this, not many among us are able to or skilled doing it. Each item should be recorded in a separate file. Debaters, they do this as a habit. And all files about one area or topic should be kept in a single folder. All files about one area or topic relevant to the topic should be kept in a single folders. To become a debater, we need these basic skills. And then folders will be tagged and sequenced alphabetically, which can save you evaluate information and add a range of information to perform in 7 minutes. So there are 3 types of information should be included in each file of entry. What sounds? Each file of entry, there is a file exclusively a claim. What number of claims that you want to persuade, that you want to convince your opponents, your judges or audience. Because in any debate, we will always come up with 3 claims or 4 claims, at least 2 claims. So we need a folder, what number of claims, and the evidence that supports the claim, which means each idea needs relevant evidence. Only then you can call it is an argument. The last but not least, this is my favorite. This is what it carries: credibility. What we many of us omit or not paying attention when it comes to speaking or writing, citing sources. For example, create a folder, debaters create a folder for bibliographic information related to the data, bibliographical publication data related to the source. That's it. That's what it carries: credibility. Let me take you through. Your book have got a useful resource to understand enhancing credibility when it comes to speaking in the debate contest as a performer of the debate. Let me help you to check with earning credibility is what it matters to persuade your audience. See, citing sources in your speech is what makes credible your audience is looking for. Let me help you read out. It may not take you 2 to 3 minutes, or you can read it by yourself. I can help you though. So when you use other people's ideas to support your claim, you need to acknowledge the sources of your evidence. That's what it matters to enhance credibility with readers, listeners, speakers. The oral citation not only helps the audience evaluate the content, but also enhances your credibility. That's the key thing that we have learned. Credibility is what it matters to persuade audience. This is what that makes me to say our audience, readers, listeners are beautifully talented. They will always evaluate your information to check credibility. In other words, in combination of intelligence, character, goodwill, that you come up with your evidence. To cite the title of a book, because to perform as a debate, to cite the title of a book or an article which is reliable and objective, and name of its author, you may say, according to the China Statistical Yearbook 2016, the average salary level of the Chinese people rose from, and so on. Or, according to an article about the availability of computers in China's southwestern region, because you are giving credit to the book or an article and then use their information as an evidence to support your claim. Or Alvin Toffler, a famous American writer and futurist, wrote or stated in his book Revolutionary Wealth, and so on. Continue. And you can cite from a published surveys as follows. According to a recent survey jointly conducted by Renmin University of China and Ministry of Human Resources and Social Security of China, because we are acknowledging or giving credit to the source, to the evidence, then start with 54% of respondents thought, and so on. Continue with this. If you cite the results of from a personal interview, cite means giving credit. If you cite the results from a personal interview, you should give the name and credentials as well as the date the interview took place. See an example. In an interview with CCTV on April 18, 2015, Zhuo Xiaochuan, Governor of People's Bank of China, so credentials, Governor of People's Bank of China stated, then use that information that you have learned from him. If the information comes from internet sources, you may cite the website's author in the debate contest as a debater to prove your main ideas or to support your team. You may cite the website's author, credentials, and the date of the site's most recent revision. For example, in a post on January 12, 2015, Stephen Freeman, a leading scholar in education, pointed out that, what was that? What if there is no author? Then cite the credentials of the website's sponsoring organization as follows. Look for an example. According to an October 2015 posting on the official website of the Chinese Ministry of Education, says such evidence you can continue. So citing sources in your speech is what I can understand credibility, acknowledging the author that supported you to prove your claim. Giving credit is what matters, is what you can call it. Credibility is what really being evaluated by your audience, readers, listeners. Only then you can win arguments, you can win debates. So any of your main idea needs evidence. So the evidence should be evaluated. Therefore, you see, you earn or enhance credibility among your targeted audience. The outcome is persuaded or convinced. That's how we win. That's how we can win arguments. We can write good arguments as a habit. So this is what that makes me to share with you. Language is nothing but information. Working hard, collecting range of information is what makes you perform a credible person so that you can win debate. So always believe our audience, readers, writers, or listeners are beautifully talented because they evaluate our evidence. And then, if they see you carry credibility, only then you they are convinced. I mean, you they are persuaded with this. So, with this, you can agree with me. We should spend time. I mean, invest time as a language professionals, working with information or gathering information, which needs to be gathering range of information, relevant, recent, and appropriate, which helps you logically connect it. This makes them enhance credibility. See, these things you can easily understand from Cambridge assessment, maybe IELTS writing. What Cambridge assessment helped me understood? Their assessment is based on the given task, how relevant, how appropriate to the given question. That's what you are graded 80%. And 20% you are marked with range of grammatical structures, or you capable of using it, or range of vocabulary, or you able to express your information with your information. So range of vocabulary, range of grammatical structures, that is a matter of 20%. But 80%, what language is, how relevant, how appropriate, that you could come up to fulfill the task, or to convince, or to prove your main idea. In other words, your claim. Therefore, you can agree with me, gathering information and evaluating information enhances credibility and proves you are a fluent speaker, writer, and debaters. So that's the key thing. So I need you to work with this book when you have sufficient time, when you have your spare time, and ask these 4 questions once you are working with gathering resources from gathering information from various resources. These are the 4 fundamental questions you should ask, we should ask once the information is gathered. These 4 questions will help us evaluate the information. The question number 1, if you have answered yes to this, is the information recent enough? If the answer is yes, good. Is the information relevant enough to support your argument, which means your claim? Yes, good. Is the information from a reliable source? Remember, article from academic journals, from government websites, government documents, which is a reliable source to support your argument? Yes, good. Does the information have any bias? No, I don't think. If you have answered yes to these questions, then it is an evidence, or you will have the confidence you are going to earn the credibility among the audience, readers or listeners. That's it. I hope now this week's lesson, you can understand learning about the language and learning to use the language are different. What are we working with? How the time has been invested for long to learn about the language or to learn use the language. If you want to use the language, tell yourself, I'm going to read for information. I'm going to gather information. Should be relevant to the given task or a situation or to a condition. Which sounds, our job is to familiarize the information. That's it. And if you have refamiliarized that information, then you are prepared to become a debater or a writer. If you could ask me, show me an example, is this. This is an example. See, there is only one claim. Men no longer know how to fight. But the evidence makes me to understand, this author should be a fluent writer or speaker. So the question is, what makes people to be fluent in speaking and writing? The secret behind, they work hard gathering information, then practicing or memorizing vocabulary or practicing range of grammatical structures with the workbook. So to sum up, information is language. Gathering information makes you fluent. Fluent makes you to convince your audience, readers and listeners.